Turn that damn juice on!
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Andrew Ellis. And to thank you for each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon. This afternoon is we're going to have a fun-filled show for you today. We're going to have, of course, our best and worst of the weekend. We'll get into a vibe checking of the chat presented by our friends at Basis Health. We'll do some craziness when it comes to the BetSaracen recapping of the sports weekend. And we'll get to all the topics of conversation, football, basketball, baseball. Curtis Wilkerson will be joining us here shortly. He is currently on the press conference call right now with Ronnie Fouch, the wide receivers coach. So we'll get a chance to catch up with him on any updates came from that. But Andrew, hope you had a great weekend. I know you're in a different location, so it seems like, at least at this point in time, you're probably enjoying yourself pretty well.
I am enjoying myself. Okay, I'm in an undisclosed location, and that undisclosed location is Miami, Florida. I was telling you, I really wanted to do like a cool thing where I had my backdrop because the ocean's like not that far away from me, but when I tried to do it, it just didn't look cool. The lighting was off, and so I couldn't show up on the show with bad lighting. So we're doing great. Looking forward to watching the Astros tonight, but also looking forward to hearing from Coach Fouch about these wide receivers. And I say that not even 100% jokingly. I actually am kind of intrigued to hear what is standing out from these receivers because, again, there's a lot of question marks, but I feel like there's a lot we can learn about this group, and maybe that's good, maybe that's bad, but we just have no information about this wide receiver room or what to expect in any way, shape, or form. So I'm hoping Curtis shows us, comes back and gives us the great news of the gospel of how the wide receiver room has been turned around.
Yeah, well, as we were discussing in our group chat and everything, I'm sure that there's certain wide receivers we're going to hear a lot of in these press conferences, but probably not see a whole lot of this upcoming football season. I have a feeling that there's probably going to be some of those that are going to be mentioned. But yeah, it's kind of a wide receiver day. And this is similar to what we did last season where, or at least the offseason, where anytime you have a certain coach of a particular unit that meets with the media, we may have some alternate scheduling and everything too, depending on those press conferences, but we kind of make it that day. So today's going to be wide receiver day. I know everyone's bummed that we miss out on tight ends and special teams day over the weekend, but I'm sure that'll get brought up a little bit. But yeah, the wide receivers, man, I think maybe you said it a few weeks ago when we were talking about the position groups of most interest. I think it was the wide receiver one has everybody's attention, because you're having to replace pretty much all of your production from there. You have some guys that you can be pretty excited about, but their body types are a little bit different. It seemed like you had a bunch of size and weight and everything from last year, but this year maybe you're going a little more towards speed. Arguably your biggest get out of the transfer portal was Omega Blake, who happens to be a wide receiver. Ishmael Cece looks like he's out for the season, so he was going to be a guy that you're going to hopefully be able to count on. But when it comes to everything about this team, we know about a lot of it. A lot of it is just kind of hopeful wishing. But with the Bobby Petrino offense, with the Taylon Green, with being able to throw it to the wide receivers, it's just like you hope it's good. You think it could be good, but you just really don't know until you see these guys get out on the field and try to get the production going.
Yeah, and it's weird because, again, with what Arkansas is going to try and do offensively, I imagine they're going to try and be pretty dependent on their run game. So it's not like you need just 4 NFL wide receivers that are going to just be, taking the top off of defenses and really being a dominant threat. But as we know, like Taylon Green can't be a one-man band. And I know he's had his accuracy issues in the past before. So like you need something out of your wide receivers. And I feel like to put this team over the top and put this offense over the top, we'll see, because we have kind of some question marks at O-line. I feel like Mike Washington has started to answer some questions at running back. And, of course, Taylon in year 2, Bobby, all that is what it is. But we really just don't have any information on this wide receiver room. It's kind of crazy. I think when I think about the group overall, Omega Blake is the one that I feel like there's maybe more pressure on him than anyone, because I feel like he was the biggest splash, if you could call it that, out of the portal for Arkansas wide receiver, and has some proven production at Charlotte, has played in the SEC before at South Carolina, did put up crazy numbers there, but an older guy with some experience. You mentioned the size. Not that he's a massive person, but he's 6'1", 6'2", probably the only one of their top receivers that has that body type that you can really count on. The guy that I'm maybe most, I don't want to say intrigued with, but most interested to see his progress is C.J. Brown for me. Ishmael Cece is a guy that coming out of spring ball seemed like was in that top 2, 3, or 4 receivers and brought some stability. I don't think he was ever going to be a guy that led this team in receiving or really blew anyone out of the water. But what he did bring was some veteran leadership, some experience, maybe some consistency that I feel like this room desperately needs with such little proven production. And so now you have Raylan Sharp starting in the slot, and I think we all understand Raylan Sharp. He's an overachiever. He's going to catch passes, maybe not going to be that deep threat, but is going to bring some some of that short passing game to Arkansas. Omega Blake is the guy that can be the deep threat. That third starting spot, I feel like, was going to be Ishmael Cece, and now you have C.J. Brown coming in, and we saw C.J. Brown a little bit last year. Didn't really go well for him as a freshman, but it says something about him that they wanted to thrust him into those positions as a freshman coming out of Bentonville because they believed in him. We'll see if maybe in year 2 with C.J. Brown, if he's maybe more equipped to deal with those reps and maybe really be a guy that takes that step forward. And so you expect he's going to be better. I mean, most guys get better year 1 to year 2, but is he now a playable receiver in the SEC better, or is he like a real difference maker for wide receiver? I think if Arkansas can figure that out and we figure out, hey, C.J. Brown, they really got something here, it makes me feel a little bit better. But overall, I look at Arkansas's wide receiver room. I look at the rest of the SEC. There's just a little bit of a discrepancy in terms of talent, in terms of production, in terms of guys you know you can count on.
Well, you mentioned the C.J. Brown thing, which to me, if you just tell me that C.J. Brown ends up having a great season this season, then I think Arkansas's offense is going to have a great season because it just kind of shows that, you have some other guys that you can count on. But if he takes that next step and is able to become a go-to guy, or is a guy that you can really rely on, that's just going to open up all the other guys that you feel like are talented, like the Omega Blakes of the world and everything, just open them up a little bit too. I know we're going to have the discussion about Monty Harrison because that guy is, again, the ultimate, gets talked about all the time, but we didn't get to see much of last year. But, I'm weary, Andrew, of this particular guy right here that gets a lot of love and pub. And this is Antonio Jordan, the Warren wide receiver, who's a true freshman. He's 6'6", 234 pounds. Now, when he was, I'm pretty sure we did a video. In fact, I know we did, when he committed to Arkansas. And it was kind of like, whoa, wait, hold on a second. They have a guy that's in Warren who's 6'6", 234 pounds on a wide receiver, and we just now kind of heard about him. He kind of came out of nowhere, but we know about Warren and how they produce players all the time. And this guy has been talked about already this fall camp like crazy. You see this image that the Razorbacks football Twitter account put up, just showing out like this. I'm kind of fearful, Andrew, that are we putting too much pressure? And I'm saying we as in the general public of just like, we see this able-bodied guy, true freshman, Warren, wide receiver, big dude, catch like this in practice. Sam Pittman, other coaches have brought him up. I'm just really fearful that this guy's already going to have this huge expectation. And then by game 3 or 4, if we haven't seen much of him, people are just going to be like, oh, he's a bust. What happened? What's going on with him? I just feel like we're setting ourselves up for failure for this guy.
Yeah, John, I'm glad you said this. So it's like, it's a tough thing here because again, we did a video for his commitment. I remember on signing day when people kept asking, who's a guy that y'all feel like is the most underrated player in this class? And I feel like all 3 of us, you, me, and Curtis, we all were like, we really like this Antonio Jordan kid. I mean, he's from Warren. And the reason we said that is because the expectations were so low. He was just a mid-range 3-star, not nationally relevant. And a lot of the things that you're seeing people say now, we were saying back then. We were like, yeah, we feel like if he had gone out to all these camps, maybe he would have a higher rating. Maybe there's a little bit more there than meets the eye. And I think that we're starting to see that come to fruition. But I will say, we got to just relax a little bit. We got to pump the brakes. The young man has had 4 practices at the University of Arkansas. And by all accounts, those practices are going pretty well. He's getting some reps with the threes. He's catching some passes. The person in that picture that you just put up there, John, Landon Phipps is the corner who is covering Antonio Jordan on that play. Landon Phipps. And this is not a knock on Landon Phipps. I'm sure he's a great young man, great man of character. You are not going to face Landon Phipps in the SEC this season. Like, you are not going to be able to, this catch, which is awesome, and it's all that. I think we need to just relax a little bit. I've literally seen people in the media that are like, this kid should have been rated a 5-star. In fact, it's crazy that he wasn't. He's going to be a first-round draft pick and all this stuff. And I'm just like, how did we get there because again, we all kind of had this understanding that he's good. Like, this is a kid that is going to be better than his 3-star rating. He's going to be underrated. He's got a chance to contribute earlier than people think. I mean, he's got the big body. How did we get there through? And it was, by the way, this was after like 1 or 2 practices where people were like, yeah, this kid's bona fide 5-star. Like, he's going to be starting. I've seen people in this chat be like, I have Antonio Jordan starting. I think he's going to be starting already. It's like, maybe those things are true, but it's like, can we just let the kid like achieve some things and then we can be like, hey, this is awesome. It's gotten a little bit out of control here. And I'm saying this as a pro Antonio Jordan guy. Yeah. Like, as someone who wants Antonio Jordan to succeed, as someone who thinks Antonio Jordan is going to be a good contributor for Arkansas and is going to exceed his expectations coming out of high school. But let's just maybe relax a little bit, just for a little bit.
Yes, and we'll get Curtis Wilkerson in here in just a second to give us a recap of Ronnie Fouch's press conference. But to your point too, Andrew, I just feel like I get it. We all, and especially fans, are looking for something to get excited about. Just something. And I get it. And I love that. And I respect it. And I just feel like, at least at this point in time, things could change. But Antonio Jordan has kind of been that guy that's like, all right, we're going to go all in on this guy because there's something unique about him. Because 6'6", 235 pounds as a wide receiver is a monster. I mean, there's some defensive ends coming in as true freshmen that aren't even that big. I mean, he is a monster. And he's from Warren. Now, does that automatically mean he's going to be Traylon Burks or Greg Childs or Jarius Wright? That'd be awesome, and maybe so. But just because he's from one city, they're like, this guy, he's from here, so therefore he's going to be great. Maddox Lassiter, I get it too, Warren, but it's like, I just feel like you got it. Like you said, just let him settle in, let him figure it out. And yeah, the idea of people saying, this guy was a 5-star, if this, that, and the other. In this day and age, with the technology and with film and with all those things, I'm not saying he can't become a great player, but I just feel like there's just been way too much 0 to 100 miles an hour on this guy. Everybody just needs to let it sit for a second before you start freaking out about it.
Yeah, and before we bring Curtis in, because I see him sitting down there, we're going to bring Curtis in. We're going to get some more handsome on this show in just a second here. But before we do that, I just wanted to touch on one thing that Ben Sauter said the other day when asked about Antonio Jordan. And again, I don't want this to sound like we're like anti-Antonio Jordan. We're like, hey, you shouldn't be excited about this guy. We love him. We've been talking about him for months. We're fans. But Ben Sauter said the thing that sticks out to him about Antonio Jordan is he's a worker. He knows how to work. He knows he's a mature person for his age. Those things translate. If you're trying to be a freshman contributing in the SEC, you kind of have to check those boxes. But you know what Ben Sauter's also said? His numbers in terms of what he's doing in the weight room are not where they need to be yet. He said they're going to get better. There's time. It's not a big deal. But it's just like he's, like any freshman when you first get to college, there's a little bit of a transition. And so he's going through that transition. And we think he's going to transition pretty well. But I think people are like, kind of like just really latching onto something just because it makes sense conceptually. And again, I think Antonio Jordan is going to accomplish things. Let's just let him do it, and then we can celebrate it as it happens before we start making these prognostications about how he was supposed to be a 5-star and is going to be a first-round pick.
Well, before we get into what Ronnie Fouch had to say, I want to remind everybody that we're brought to you by our friends over at BetSaracen. It's the #1 sports betting app here in the state of Arkansas. It's not even close. They got all the future bets when it comes to all things college football, especially the Razorbacks when it comes to their wins and losses. Who's going to do what? They also have things like at conference championships that you can bet on, Heisman Trophy winners, and it's only going to get more and more specials as the season comes closer. We also have, of course, the NFL preseason, Major League Baseball, all the great things that you could possibly bet on when it comes to all things sports. Do it with the #1 sports betting app in the state of Arkansas. It's BetSaracen. You can go on your iPhone or Android and download the app today, or you can check them out today at BetSaracen.com. So let's go ahead and welcome in our guy, Curtis Wilkerson, who was there for the Ronnie Fouch press conference, and I'm sure had a lot of things to say and a lot of crazy updates to give. But Curtis, how was the vibes from wide receiver coach Ronnie Fouch?
Choo-choo, choo-choo. You guys are slowing down the Antonio Jordan train over here, and it's going full steam ahead. I've been sitting in the waiting room for 10 minutes, and you guys have been suppressing my voice because you knew it was about to happen when we came in here. That man is going places. He was the talk of the press conference. I'm just kidding. They talked about him quite a bit. Good conversation there. I was listening to you guys right after Fouch's presser ended. There was a lot that was said. I will speak to Antonio Jordan first. Andrew, you're going to like this. He did get a lot of high praise, obviously. Big, talented freshman who's coming in. People were excited about him. One thing that Ronnie Fouch said about him is that his technique, he just feels like is way ahead of most freshmen, which is a testament to Warren, right? I mean, we know the track record with that place and wide receivers and tomatoes, right? So they talked about that quite a bit. But he said, yes, he's talented enough to where he's a guy who could help the team this year. But, and here you go, Andrew, said that it's been a slow build with him learning the offense. It's more of a package by package deal. Instead of throwing the entire playbook at him, they're really taking care to not overwhelm or put too much pressure on him in these early stages. Exact words from Ronnie Fouch. So yes, very excited about the potential, like some of the things that they see. But they're taking it easy in terms of bringing him along and getting him comfortable there. They're not trying to put too much on him too early.
I love how you were like, Andrew, you're going to love this. And then you're like, you're doing the anti-Kool-Aid thing as well. Listen, nothing would make me happier than Antonio Jordan being like the best receiver we've ever seen from day one. But I think we're all three pretty aligned. And we were talking about it right before you got on, Curtis. It's funny because like we kind of started the Antonio Jordan thing, I feel like we should get some credit for that. And now it's just gone off the rails.
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, I remember going back, I think it was maybe even before SEC Media Days, we're talking about, hey, who's going to be the newcomer or the freshman that you're most excited about? And I think that he was definitely mentioned. And it kind of just, takes off from there. And here's why at least my reasoning as to why I want to make sure that we pump the brakes on it is because we all know how this works. We know what happens. Everybody gets hyped up and excited about it. And if he does not live up to that expectation, if he's not getting into the game and something's going on, it's going to turn into either one, the coaching staff is awful. Petrino, he's not a good player in the locker room. That's why he's not seeing the field. Or two, he's hurt and they're not telling us anything about it. Or three, it's because, we hyped him up and we just talked all this noise and, we were the ones that said he was going to be good and he's not. It's just going to turn into a toxic situation. And that's the whole thing. Now, if this was a player that was coming off of last year where they were in college football and they were really good and say really good for the Razorbacks and, that expectation was there, that would be one thing. But just going off on a true freshman who is a big able-bodied guy, I'm just trying to avoid and prevent all of the nonsense that'll come with it if he does not live up to that expectation that a lot of people are putting on him. That's the main thing.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's a rational and reasonable approach to take with a young man who is 4 days into his practice career at the University of Arkansas.
I mean, listen, I could never imagine Hog fans overhyping a wide receiver and getting way too excited about his potential contributions, and it wound up not really being a thing. But Curtis, can you tell us about Monte Harrison? Did they talk about Monte Harrison at the press conference?
They did talk about Monte Harrison. I got notes, boys. I got a lot of notes over here. With Monte Harrison, he did say flat out that the first thing he said about Monte Harrison was that he was going to have a bigger role in the offense this season just because of what he brings via run blocking. As a big, strong guy, he was like, he's going to play a bigger role in the offense just because of that. And I was like, all right, well, that's something. And then he got asked about him specifically, and he really got a lot of high praise naturally. And it was a lot of the things you would expect when you think about this guy and his story and everything else. Ronnie Fouch said that he felt like Monte Harrison is literally an assistant coach for him. And he said a lot of times he will deliver a message straight to Monte Harrison and he will deliver that message to the wide receivers and the rest of the room. And that's just how much they look up to him, respect him and everything like that. And then he went on to talk about how, like you could see it last year when he came on, but his, like, just the strides that he's made from just being a professional athlete to being a football player and understanding nuances and route running and footwork and technique and all that is what's really taken off. And that's why they're excited about the potential of getting him going, and said that they're kind of scheming up ways to utilize him this season. So they like the progress that he's made, but a lot of it was, hey, this dude's a vet. He's a pro, literally. He's a big voice that everybody respects in that locker room, and he's made strides from year one to year two.
Well, listen, if this guy, I'm just going to be honest, if this guy does not see the field and does not have any sort of impact on the team this year, then I'm done. Like, or even in the beginning part, I'm done, because last year we heard all about it going into fall camp. Did not see this dude a second. Did not see him a second. And then in the bowl game, when it was basically like they probably could have used us three to go out there and play for him. And you really didn't see much of him there either. So I get it. And I'm not hating on Monty Harris. I'm not hating on Ronnie Fouch. I'm not hating on anybody. But this is one guy where I'm like, okay, I'm tired of hearing it. Let's just actually see it, because I feel like we revisited this last season and y'all didn't even think he was good enough to see the field much at all. And then this year you have an entire new wide receiver group hearing the same stuff. Okay, what impact is he going to give? Because if we're sitting here by game 5 or 6 and we're looking at Monty Harrison's stats and it's got 1 catch for 16 yards against Alabama A&M, then we have a no slander list. We're going to have a no mention list, and he's going to be banned from it. He's going to be banned from them being mentioned on this show forward.
No propaganda list.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, right? We have to get a new Post-it, John. We've got to come up with another list here. If if he emerges as a starter or a key guy in the mix there at wide receiver, I have no idea what that says about Arkansas, the football team. It would be probably the coolest story in all of college football if it wound up working out for him. After everything we heard last year, even going into it, I mean, I remain skeptical. I'll believe it when I see it, but I do hope I see it because I think it would be pretty cool. Worst case scenario, it sounds like he's Unc, he's Papa Bear in that room and is keeping the boys in line. And that was one of the more interesting things. And we can talk more about individuals here in a minute if you guys want to. But one thing that he kept going back to, Ronnie Fouch, time and time again, when he was answering questions, was, man, I just like this. And it's some of it's coach speak, but the way he was saying it of like, man, this group is they're just close this year. They're just closer this year. They're more together than they were last year. This is really it's a full room and it's not a bunch of individuals. It's just different. And it just it came across as like, these guys have a bunch of assholes in that room last year. You know what I mean? And I know you hear that every year, like, oh, it's a tight knit group. And Andreas Polsky took him to ride go-karts or whatever. But the way he kept going back to the well with it, every time he was talking about the strides the room made, why you're excited about the room, is it because he doesn't have any reasons to actually be excited, or is it because he means it? But he kept on going back to these guys just get along. There's a culture of work. It's a team. They work together. They hold each other accountable. And it's just something that we haven't had in the past.
That's interesting. I feel like the two guys that we don't talk about a ton, because I think they're two guys that we pretty safely assume are going to contribute at the receiver position. And so we kind of focus on other guys like an Antonio Jordan, who has this, you can let your imagination run free, or maybe it's a Cam Shanks. Maybe you have a role there, or CJ Brown. But I feel like Raylan Sharp and Omega Blake are the two guys that if you put a gun to my head and you were like, hey, two guys are going to catch passes every week for Arkansas, who's it going to be? Those would be the guys. Did Fouch, I mean, obviously I'm sure he just, said they were good, but like, did you get that sense? Because you mentioned the leadership dynamics kind of in that wide receiver room. Did you get the sense that those two guys are the leaders, or did he mention them specifically in any way?
No, he mentioned both of them actually very specifically in that way when he was asked about it. And, with Raylan Sharp, it was interesting. He said that he really has kind of stepped in as a leader right away, just because of his mastery of the offense. Like it's the same stuff. It's not new to him. He understands the expectations of Bobby Petrino and everything. So he's able to focus on all those little things a little bit more and helping these other guys along because he already knows the playbook. And he doesn't have a coach breathing down his neck, yelling at him because he's doing all the things that he's supposed to do. So that's kind of set him apart from some of these other guys. He also mentioned that his chemistry with Taylon Green, they might have the best connection. And then I guess they have a history that goes back to high school, even with knowing each other. And I wasn't really aware of that. But yeah, he definitely mentioned Raylan Sharp as a leader there in that room. And then with, he right off the top, he mentioned Omega Blake, Raylan Sharp, and Cam Shanks. Just when he was talking about the room, just like, what do you think about your room? And those are the three guys he mentioned right off the top. And then a little bit later, he was talking about how it's kind of become Sharp, Omega Blake, and CJ Brown that have separated themselves a little bit from the group early, just in terms of knowing the routes, understand the offense, alignments, and all those things, but that it's still, very much an open competition. With Omega Blake, I thought it was interesting, some of the things he said about him, just from a standpoint of being a competitor, being very coachable. He challenged him after the spring hey, I want you to be more of a voice. Like you go out there and you lead by example because you work so hard. And then you come here with me with these individual meetings that we have. And hey, what do I need to do to improve my draft stock? What can I do outside of catching footballs to help this team win? And want him to kind of spread that knowledge and that energy throughout the room there. So yeah, he also said that Omega Blake's going to be a big yak merchant this year, big yards after the catch guy. But, he spoke very highly about those two more than anyone else, I would say, outside of the just getting peppered with questions on Antonio Jordan.
Well, I'll tell you what, as part of our Alumni Hall question today, because I know we'll get to your chats, it's a simple one of just, hey, which wide receiver for Arkansas is going to lead the team in receiving yards this year? Because as we've talked about, there's a lot of names that are getting thrown around. And it's, of course, presented by our friends at Alumni Hall, the #1 Razorback shopping experience. You can check them out online at insidearkansas.com/Alumni Hall. Use that promo code HOGSBY20 for 20% off your purchase. They got all the Razorback apparel, especially for this upcoming football season, as well as decor and tailgating experience. So do it today with Alumni Hall. And so for the choices that were given here, it was just Omega Blake, CJ Brown, Antonio Jordan, because the name gets thrown around a lot, or other. And I'll tell you this, as far as the other list goes, everyone said Raylan Sharp. So we'll just go ahead and use that one as Raylan Sharp. But as of right now, 65% of you say Omega Blake will be the team guy that leads the team in receiving yards. Not surprising that second is Antonio Jordan at 20%, leading the way. Wow. And then CJ Brown is at 8%, and then 7.5% roughly is Raylan Sharp. So that's kind of what people are looking at right now for the receiving yards.
With the way they were talking today, I'm feeling better about Omega Blake. So I would probably take the low-hanging fruit there and go with that myself. Raylan Sharp, obviously, I think Andrew, I think it was you the other day, I think you were talking about him saying he might lead the team in receptions, and we'll see about yards and everything like that. How shifty is he going to be after the catch and stuff? But I went into the day after I saw that question, and I was like, okay, when we talk about this, it's going to be my turn to talk CJ Brown. And then after leaving the press conference, I don't feel the same. He didn't say anything bad about him or anything like that. In fact, he said he's, kind of the guy opposite of Omega Blake, who's been running with the ones and everything lately. But just a lot of the talk was about, okay, like you were a rotation guy last year. I need you to take on a different mentality of being a full-time player and trying to be a starter in the SEC and understanding everything that goes into that. Not saying that he hasn't done that or everything, but I was kind of hoping for it's night and day different. I mean, man, he's really emerged. Oh, he gets it now. And it wasn't a whole lot of that frankly.
That's interesting because we were talking about CJ Brown earlier on the show, and we were just like, man, if you could guarantee that like he's a real SEC player, like not just a guy that can play for you, like a real contributor that has to you have to keep an eye on him, it would change a lot, because with Cisse going down, it feels like he's kind of going to slot into that spot. I feel like if Cisse had not gotten hurt, he probably was a starter, and it seems like Brown has kind of slid into that starting spot. So that is kind of because I'm with you. Like obviously, and again, these press conferences, we don't want to overreact too much, but you can always kind of tell when coaches are really excited to talk about someone and when they're, answering a question that they've been asked. So that's a little bit disappointing, but I think every year there's guys like that who like rise up the depth chart and we kind of forecast them and we're like, okay, yeah, he'll be a starter. And then you're like, okay, is this guy really a starter? Like what's going on? I feel like Ian Gerard was kind of that guy for the last couple of years where it's like, he's risen up the depth chart just because the rest of the room is left, but it's like, do we have a guy here or not? And I'm with you guys that like I think Omega Blake is the correct answer here. You look at that poll and you would think that like Omega Blake was like this just like stud go-to, like no doubt about it. And I don't really know if it's that situation, but I think he brings in the big play threat, which we've talked about a lot. I mean, led the country in yards per reception. What you said, Curtis, about the yak is very interesting to me because the guy who leads the country in yards per catch, you don't really think of that as a yak. Obviously, you catch some and you run for it, but it's like that's not a lot of slants and bubbles and little screens here and there. So if they're going to mix in some of that, I think he's still going to have plenty of the big play threat, although maybe not to the extent of last year. So I think he's going to have the better overall combination. But I think Raylan Sharp, low key, I'm not saying he's going to be Arkansas's go-to guy. I think he's way more of a candidate than most in the fan base, I think, realize. He's not my pick, but he's much more of a serious threat than I think folks realize.
Well, and I know we'll get to the chat, but we might as well bring it up because I know people are asking about it. Courtney Crutchfield is also the player that gets mentioned a lot. Curtis, I have a feeling Courtney Crutchfield was mentioned in this press conference. What's the situation with him?
I was going to say mentioned a lot by who. Nay, a word was said about Courtney Crutchfield until about 17 minutes into the press conference when Trey Biddy literally said, well, I think we've asked about everyone except Courtney Crutchfield. Like that was literally how he phrased the question. Right off the top, Ronnie Fouch was kind of asked about, what do you make of your room? And, like what went into the decision after spring ball to go out and add more receivers after you guys did so much work, during the offseason, which was a question that we had. And he literally was like, well, like we felt really good about going out and getting Omega Blake and Raylan Sharp and Cam Shanks. And then he didn't mention Crutchfield at all in that mix. And then he said, and we felt like after the spring, we needed to go out and add some more speed. And in comes, Andy Jean and Jaylen Brown. And so that was kind of the thought process behind that. But he didn't say anything about Crutchfield until he was asked about him. And then he just kind of gave the stock, hey, he's super talented. He's caught some 50-50 balls here, the first couple days of camp. He just needs to learn the playbook and he needs to be more consistent at the end.
Well, so we're not going to see this guy. He's not going to play. I mean,
he's been running with the threes.
Yeah.
I
don't want to be,
yeah,
I don't want to be like just over the top simplistic about it. But man, this is just pointing to all things of him just not being able to see the field, which is a shame. And again, want to reiterate this, folks. Say what you want. If you like Pittman, if you like Fouch, whatever it is, but they're never going to not play a player because he's too good to see the field. Like if he can play, he can play. So if Courtney Crutchfield is not seeing the field this year, it's not that they have this secret hidden weapon in Courtney Crutchfield that they're just not using and he's just so good and all of that. There has to be a reason as to why. Now, again, I hope that he ends up seeing the field. I hope he ends up being great. But at the same time, if he doesn't, I'm not going to be demanding answers and saying, what is going on? Why are you not playing this guy? It just seems to be maybe a little bit of a pattern to where if it's the playbook, if it's the ability to go out there, if it's his catching ability, whatever it is, there's going to be a reason why if he doesn't see the field this year. So that's just what it's like right now.
And, I'm sure you guys will listen after the show to Ronnie Fouch, but he very clearly was speaking with more enthusiasm about Ja'Caden Ferguson and the strides that he's made, as a freshman than what he had to say about Crutchfield.
Just a good thing for Ja'Caden Ferguson since he's wearing Darren McFadden's number. I mean, you better.
Correct. And by the way, he's been representing it well, and he understands that honor because that was asked. So
I want to. I'm not with you guys, so I can't physically do this, but I want y'all to take y'all's hand right here, and I want you to just give yourself a little pat on the back because everyone, listen. Back in it was y'all remember it was freaking Christmas Eve when Courtney Crutchfield committed. Y'all remember that?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And we were annoyed that we had to work and everything. But I remember in the moment, all three of us kind of being like, are we 100% sure that this is like a guy that's going to come in and start? He wasn't on the 2 deep at Missouri, which, Missouri had some good receivers. But like, why is it such an assumption? And we got a lot of crap for it. Like there's a lot of things all off season that we've gotten a lot of crap for. And that was one of them. And I'm not trying to do a victory lap now. Like, of course, Courtney Crutchfield could very well. You see guys all the time kind of, the light bulb goes off and then you figure out he's still very young. But I think that we were on the right track in terms of like, you can't assume that someone who has never played a snap in the SEC is going to be the solution to your problems. And that applies to Crutchfield, to CJ Brown, to Antonio Jordan, to really any of these guys. And even some of the guys like an Andy Jean and or like a Jaylen Brown who we're excited about. I think there's a lot more like up for grabs that, again, I think we need to figure out in fall camp. I can be talked into all of these guys, but we really need to figure that out by the end of fall camp. And it seems like they're at least getting closer to that. I mean, it's only been 4 or 5 days. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, after a few scrimmages, we start to have a real definitive feel of what they have. Because I think that's the real issue for me is not even more about just the fact that there's no proven production. Nobody seems to know what the answers are. I don't think they have a good feel for who their top 5 or 6 guys are, and you just kind of have to at this level.
Well, and also to your point, because I know we'll get to the chat, and I'm not saying this is going to be what Courtney Crutchfield ends up being, but man, the amount of 4-star wide receivers that just have come to Arkansas that didn't pan out the way that a lot of people thought is an enormous list. Now, there's been some 4-stars that have. Traylon Burks was definitely one of those guys. But, I think back to, what was it, the year that you had Burks and all those guys in the mix. I remember like a TQ Jackson, I believe it was his name, that was supposed to be this big 4-star player. I remember even way back in the day of a Chris Baker and a Cedric Logan. People probably don't even remember those guys' names, but they were 4-star wide receivers that just didn't have a chance to see the field. So again, not saying that that's what is going to end up being Courtney Crutchfield, but kind of going back to the whole Antonio Jordan thing. Don't get pissed off. Don't throw a fit. Don't start yelling at people if these guys aren't living up to that expectation that you set for them just because of on paper or on the social medias. That's what people are saying. Just, if there's a problem, there's a problem, and we'll be critical of anything. But I just don't think that people need to already just be setting these guys up for criticisms if they don't see the field or don't live up to that expectation, because all it's going to do is cause you to get pissed off for no reason, cause us to get pissed off at you for getting pissed off for no reason. And then it's just going to be a toxic situation that's going to be surrounding social media where everyone's going to be like, why is this guy not playing? And it ends up being a big nothing burger because the guy can't catch or the guy can't run routes or whatever it may be. So that's all I'm saying.
But then you get the follow-up sequel of he does get into a game and he catches a pass, and then it's like, where the hell was this guy? What's going on here? Where was this guy all along? That's my favorite.
Yeah, no, I can't wait for the Liberty Bowl. At the end of the season when you've lost 30 players and he gets into the game and has a
I forgot that literally just happened at the last game that we covered for Arkansas football.
Yep. And then he ends up transferring out and going to Florida State or something stupid like that.
And then he gains 30 pounds in the offseason at his new school. It's just a tale as old as time.
It's like a tradition like no other at this point in time for sure. So, all right, let's go ahead and check out the chat. In the vibe checking of the chat is presented by our friends over at Basis Health, where they are changing the way that healthcare is delivered by providing mobile medical visits to the comfort of your very own home. A doctor will come to your home for urgent care, primary care, IV hydration, and so much more. It's Basis Health. They're here for you when and where you need them the most. You can learn more at basishealth.org today. Shout out to our guy, Dre, for his partnership with us here at Inside Arkansas. So, all right, a few of your chats. Go ahead and get to super chat from Razorback. I'm going to go on that. But how many Heisman votes for Jordan this year? All of them, apparently. Just go ahead and write them in. Write them in. And you better put him in the Heisman. Lou Holtz, Mark May, what number is he? It's 19. You better look at him a little closer. He's a football player. Go ahead.
Talking that Anthony Answine number.
Yeah, dude. What's funny? Speaking of 19, I know this is random, but like Carlton Salters is the only guy I think of like number 19 in Razorback football. I don't even know if people remember that guy.
I remember him because I think I was telling a story about my dad's best friend, Crazy Mark, the other day. When the Miracle on Markham Part 2 happened and London Crawford caught the pass, we had a big argument on the way back to the car who caught it. And I was like, yeah, London Crawford. And he was like, no, it was Carlton Salters. And I was like, it wasn't. It was London. And this is back in the day. Like now we would just pull out our ESPN app and be like, it was him. But we argued about it for 20 minutes because that's what we did back then.
Yeah. Antonio Jordan and Shakur Smalls are the number 19 for this year. So hopefully don't get them mixed up or anything. But
Shakur Smalls might play for him.
Yeah.
I've been seeing him on the depth charts.
Yeah.
I mean, coming from Philadelphia and playing at Maine, now coming down to the SEC, dude's ready. Dude's ready for it. Also, am I the only one? Surely I'm not, Tupac Shakur, Biggie Smalls.
I like that. Right? I like that.
Okay.
Shoot. Yeah.
Shakur Smalls. All right.
That's a good name. No, it is a good name.
Put him on the field. Yeah.
Okay.
He's going to help with special teams too. I heard Scott Fountain talking about that yesterday.
Yeah, which I know we're going to get into some of the special teams talk too, because there was some fascinating things from that. Shout out to Nep. He just says, Whoopik Sui, remember for 3 months. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
As well as a great profile picture.
As well as our guy Logan. So shout out to Logan also being a member for 3 months, putting in the work. That's a season right there, boys. That's a full season. So, we appreciate your memberships there. Let's see. Also, I'm gonna go ahead and address this too. Dylan's like, is John sick? Voice sounds different. Yes, I was horribly sick over the weekend, and this is
watch Friday.
Yeah, like Friday, I was dying, and Saturday was the worst day ever. I'm on the back end of it. I'm trying to get better, so I got all my meds. But yes, I am sick, and I'm battling through it. So thank you. Let's see. Also, let's see, where was it at? Oh, well, never mind. So I already talked about Crutchfield, so we don't need that. David wants to know what record or loss would cause you guys to sound the 5-star alarm and burn the house down.
The Arkansas State game is like the one that like comes to mind. Like even Memphis, like obviously if they lose to Memphis, that'll be a clear, like the writing's on the wall if this is going south. But I don't think losing to Memphis is a like fire the coach on the field type of loss. I think losing to Arkansas State would be a fire the coach on the field type of loss. That would make me sound the alarm. In terms of record, I mean, I think anything 4 wins or fewer is that. If they go 4-8 and we sat here, because then it would be like we felt like something was wrong all off season and we talked about it and we're told to shut up. And so if they went 4-8, I would be very upset, but I'd be more upset at you guys, not the University of Arkansas.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I don't know if you guys saw it. I thought it was fascinating. ESPN put out the list of HSEC teams' first loss that they'll suffer from, which, wasn't it? Or CBS Sports, not ESPN. Sorry. Yeah. CBS Sports did it. Do you guys want to guess which one they had for Arkansas?
I know what it is because I read the article, but yeah.
Yeah. Even if you didn't read it, you would probably know. What do you think?
Who?
I was going to say Ole Miss. I was going to have you guess, but yeah.
Yeah, because hold on. Is Ole Miss the first real team they play?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense then.
Yeah.
Which is fair. I mean, it's fair. People can do the thing about, they lost players or, like, they're going to take a step back. They need to take a step back. Arkansas needs to take a step forward. But at the end of the day, you are playing at their place also. Like, it's natural for people to look at that and go, oh, yeah, Ole Miss should probably win that game. Doesn't mean Arkansas can't, but.
Right.
It's certainly a winnable game. I think it's one that is in play, but I definitely think Arkansas is going to be underdogs. Like I would imagine the ESPN FPI and all that has them as underdogs. I imagine when that game rolls around, they will be underdogs, and we'll see if they can shut the haters up.
Well, let me ask you this, because I know you guys don't have the schedules memorized, because I don't, but there are 3 teams tied to go the longest in the SEC until their first loss hits, according to them. Which teams do you think that those teams would be for the 3 longest?
Missouri.
So Georgia and Bama play, right?
Okay, so you guys just named 2 of them. Georgia is one where they have it, which I don't know about all this. October 11th against Auburn on the road is they have their first loss, which I'm like, dude,
they're not losing Auburn.
That would be rough.
They're not losing Auburn.
That's
bro.
crazy.
Jackson Arnold, you think Jackson Arnold's about to just dice up that Georgia defense? Get the hell out of here.
Come on, man. And then the other one's Missouri playing Alabama on October 11th. That's it. That's their first launch. Honestly, given their schedule, that's the easiest one.
We've got to wait 3 months before we see Missouri. No, 2 months. Sorry. Math is hard. Math's hard.
It's still a lot.
Still a lot, yeah. It's like we're less than a month away from the season starting, and we got to wait a full 2 months, to see when they're over 2 months.
We're gonna watch 3 Arkansas losses before we see 1 Missouri loss.
Man. But the other team, and I don't know if you guys would guess it because I wouldn't have known. I'll just tell you. But they have Oklahoma. Their first loss not being until October 11th against Texas in the Red River Shootout or Red River Rivalry or whatever. So
October 11th is just a day of reckoning.
L's, bro. There's a lot of SEC L's going on, man.
Yeah, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's the day Arkansas plays A&M. I want to say no.
That's Tennessee.
Tennessee. That's it. Yeah, Tennessee. Because Arkansas has the bye week and the 4th.
It will not be Tennessee's first loss, but it will be a Tennessee loss.
Yeah, that's true.
Have you guys been paying any attention to that whole situation?
Dude,
I
got part of it pulled up for my best of worst, but yeah.
I'll save it, but yeah, they're really trying to be discreet about their quarterback situation. And then the Boo Carter kid who thought he was going to be the next Travis Hunter or whatever, and he's not showing up to workouts, and Heupel's like, our leadership council is going to take care of this. And it's, like after Nico did his thing, and, I was like, all right, they're going to have a drop off at quarterback, but could this be something that really rallies the team? That kind of stuff can bring you together, but then you don't even get through summer workouts without one of your other really important pieces just kind of bailing on workouts and stuff. It's just kind of got the recipe of things going south there for them. We'll see if it actually happens. They still got a lot of talent on defense, but sounding a little bit fishy over there.
Yeah. Shout out to Smitty for being a member for 2 months. A lot of people, I guess, this is the anniversary of people's memberships. I think it's maybe been when we started it, to be honest, like 3 months ago. So maybe that was the case, but appreciate it, Smitty. Trey just wants to know, so is Arkansas only going to get maybe 2 night games at home this year? For sure 1, but A&M could be flexed tonight. Yeah, as of right now, the only guaranteed one is Missouri. and the flex of A&M. And yeah, I believe that's it. Those are the only chances you'll have as having a home game night.
Yeah, Alabama A&M's mid-afternoon, Notre Dame's 11 a.m., Auburn is 11 a.m. or noon, Mississippi State's 2:30 or 3:30. Yeah. So,
like, I know we all know that, but geez, that is kind of lame.
It sucks. Yeah, no, that sucks.
Like, that's just, I don't know, there's nothing that can be done about it. And we can sit here and yell at the clouds, but I don't know. Just for Hog fans' sake, it would be nice if they had at least one of those good games, like the Notre Dame one or the A&M one, something like that would be nice. But yeah, unfortunately, that's the case. Let's see. We can go ahead and dive into it. Hickory Hawk says, Fountain said he had better athletes to work with this year than in 6 years at the U of A. Sounds great. Don't know if I believe it. Would be huge for depth if true.
So here's the thing. I'm not calling him a liar. I understand it's fall camp. You got to do what you got to do. I have written this story multiple times in my life, and I haven't been writing in multiple years. He has literally said this every single year that he has to do this thing. He says, well, I love that now our depth as a team is so much better. So now the guys that are my gunners are better, and the guys that are whatever are better, blah, blah, blah. He said this last year, and then they used their starters on special teams because their depth was that bad. So it's like, I'm not saying he's just like lying because it's fall camp, but he is lying because it's fall camp. And I can't co-sign this. He says this literally every single fall camp.
Well, where was the chat I was going to bring up? Maybe I missed it, but it was what talking about when he mentioned Braylon Russell returning. Oh, right here from Hickory Hawk. He says, "How do we feel about Braylon Russell returning kits? Got to get him in the 33 jersey."
Well, yeah, he surprised me a little bit with some of the things that he said there. Now, he was talking about using Braylon Russell as like the off returner, like the second option there. It sounds like Rodney Hill is going to be the guy who's typically receiving those kicks, but he's going to be back there, Braylon Russell, with opportunities. I don't know how I feel about it. It's interesting. It's just another thing that, kind of strikes me about where does he fit in the running back equation right now? You know what I mean? I'm like, he's going to get his carries and everything. But once again, even today, as Ronnie Fouch, the wide receivers coach, he was talking about the run blocking of his group. And he was like, oh, you got a guy like Talon, but when you got a guy back there like Mike Washington, man, he's explosive. He's a playmaker. Like we got a clear pass for him to make these big plays. And you want to mention Braylon Russell in that conversation. So it kind of seems like his stock continues to maybe fall a little bit while Mike Washington's like soaring up to the stars there. He wants to return some kicks. Be my guest, buddy. Just field them better than AJ Green did.
Yeah, that is interesting that Fouch mentioned Mike Washington. That is something there. Yeah, I mean, if he's going to be the off kick returner guy, he's basically the lead blocker. It's basically like he's the fullback of kickoff team, which, I'm not saying that even as a knock. Like, I think that's a valuable role there. That is interesting.
Well, I want to throw this in real quick because I know we'll move on and get to some other things, but maybe I'm, again, oversimplifying it. Because of how the rules are just so set for in college football to where punt returns and kick returns just aren't as much of a thing anymore. It's almost like, yeah, you want to have someone dangerous back there. But to me, it's more so just having someone that makes the right decision of whether to fair catch or not fair catch, to let it go or not let it go, to decide who, like, to me, that's what it's more about than anything. Like, yeah, again, you want to have a Felix Jones, Dennis Johnson guy back there if you can. But I would value, hey, just don't do something dumb where, oh, this is 5 yards in the end zone. I'm going to take this sucker out. And then you get hit at the 15-yard line. Like, to me, that's what it's more about these days.
Sorry, I was reading a different chat over there. My bad. No, go ahead. I was preoccupied with something.
Oh,
I didn't have anything important to say.
Yeah, I was just
on Braylon Russell kickoff returns.
Yeah. I mean, again, it would be great to see another Dennis Johnson, Felix Jones back there. But if Braylon Russell or whoever's back there returning kicks, I don't care about them returning it for a touchdown. Yeah, that'd be great.
I remember what I was going to say now. Because you were talking about the decision making. Yeah. And that, like, you really did. And I know he's like, as soon as he left, he became the most hated man in the history of Arkansas football. But you had a home run threat in Isaiah Satania back there last year. His decision making, though, is what drove a lot of people crazy, letting some balls go that he shouldn't have. Do I fair catch? Do I not? What's going on here? That was the kind of stuff that drove people crazy and wound up flipping the field in the wrong direction numerous times. and it almost outweighed the potential threat that he had because he didn't get that many opportunities to return, because you just don't see that much anymore anyway. So I'm with you. Like, it's, for me, it's about guys who understand, situational football there and making the right decisions in the heat of the moment, and who can just secure the football and catch it. But Scott Fountain did say that, you don't see as much of it as you used to, but he does hope and feels like they have the tools back there to be a really, really good or dangerous punt return team. And this is the first time that he got to kind of specifically recruit to that position. Usually Sam Pittman's like, hey, we're going to recruit some guys. We'll find you somebody who can return punts. But he was kind of given the freedom to say, all right, now go out there and look and see who you want. Let's see if we can make it work, and insert Cam Shanks.
Yeah. I mean, Cam Shanks should be kind of the solution there at punt return. I thought it's interesting that, like, I know punt return and kick return are different skill sets, but I wondered if there was any possibility. I know he did mostly punt return at UAB, and it seems like he's just going to do punt return at Arkansas. But punt return, I feel like if you're going to have a guy like that actually can be a meaningful contributor in the return game, it probably needs to be punt, because kickoff, your worst case scenario should be the 25-yard line. Right.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And so it's like punt return, your worst case scenario can be a lot worse than the 25-yard line. So I do like the potential there with Cam Shanks, but I'm with you guys where I'm like, I hope he doesn't like feel that pressure of like, I've got to be a playmaker back here. I've got to run one of these back, I have to field every punt type of thing.
Dude, 2 times today, I've had a brain freeze already. Both times it was when I was getting ready to bring up Isaiah Satania about something. And I would go to do it, and I'm like, wait, what was I going to say?
He's got that feel about him.
Yeah, it's crazy. I haven't heard anything about him in Oklahoma. Anyway, carry on.
It's a triggering thing for you, apparently. It's like, never mind. I was going to make a Star Wars reference, but I'm not going to. But either way, real quick, because I know we'll talk about and play a clip that has been brought up, but I wanted to bring this up from Heartbroken Hog, where he says, Fountain just better make sure we have a reliable kicker this season. That's all I care about. Now, the reason I want to bring this up real quick is because some that I've been pretty, not just defending Scott Fountain saying he's the greatest special teams coach of all time, but it is one of those things where last year you saw the kicker where they went with one guy in the starting position. That guy ended up getting hurt, and then the guy that comes in, the other kicker, ends up having statistically a better season than what the previous guy did. And so it provides some doubt, which I understand. But at the same time, man, like the way he was laying it out, he's basically like, listen, we go out there and we have these guys kicking practices about makes. You try to be at around 80% is what he kept saying. He's like, hey, if you're around 80%, you're going to be somebody that may have a trophy at the end of the year for the Groza Award. Like if you're that good. And he's like, so we look for that. And then after that, we put him in front of Sam Pittman and the head coaches and all the players to kind of do the tryouts and what they end up hitting. And if they end up hitting a lot amount, and then we get them into live game action, just kind of building it up. And it's one of those things to where I'm like, a kicker, if they end up missing in games, everyone's just infuriated and mad and all those things. I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of maybe a little bit more defensive to the special teams coach, because it's like they probably saw him in practices make those kicks, and then they get in front of Sam Pittman and the team, and they make those kicks, and then they put him in front of those scrimmages and stuff, and they make those kicks, and then they get him into the game, and he misses it. It's like, I don't think that they're like, well, this guy keeps missing kicks, so let's just go ahead and throw him in there. Like, it's not that. Sometimes it's just you don't know until you know, and that's one of the positions, if not the only position in football, where it's like you don't know what these guys are going to be like in those pressure situations until they're in it, and then that's when you know. Some guys were like Cam Little or Zach Hawker, where they were just, hey, as good as gold. But then there's some guys that are great in practices, like the Cole Headlands, and they get out there, doink it every single time. You just don't know until you know.
100%, man. Yeah, they do all these different things to simulate the pressure the best they can. And, he was talking about Sam Pittman just randomly in the middle of practice will be like, all right, field goal, and just run him out there. And it's like, oh, I wasn't prepared for that yet mentally. And they do stuff in scrimmages and they'll go into the stadium. But yeah, I mean, until you're in front of 70,000 people or whatever, you just really don't know how someone's going to react. And I thought he said good stuff about, Scott Starzik in terms of why he's comfortable with him as a freshman being in the spot, because he's kind of got that same personality that Cam Little did that makes you feel like he can handle some attention in those moments a little bit. It was hilarious because everybody just kind of assumes that he's the guy, and he's going to be the guy. But, Scott Fountain doesn't want to say that after 2 practices. And he's like, well, yeah, I mean, he's in a really good spot, but Blake Ford and Charlie Vandermeeden exist, but I'm going to be interested to see what it looks like. But I'm kind of with you, John. People get a lot of flack for that, but you just, unless you've done it before and you come in as a transfer or something, you just have no idea. There's a big difference in kicking a field goal in front of 800 people in high school or at some camp as opposed to Razorback Stadium or Death Valley or somewhere else.
And real quick, just another thing, and maybe it's not the exact same thing, but to me, it reminds me of like in basketball, if there's a technical foul called and you're like, oh, I'm going to go with this guy to shoot my free throws because he's been as automatic as any, and he goes in there and he misses them because of whatever reason. Everyone's like, oh, you should have gone with this guy because you went 1 for 2 instead of 2. It's like, sometimes you just don't know until you know. Oh, I was going to give it to Andrew, but he froze up, man. The Miami Beach internet down there you must have Ozarks Go down there in Miami. So must be killing him right now.
He was ready too.
He was ready. He was ready to throw it out there and have a good one there too. But I'll tell you what, while we wait for him to unfreeze, let's go ahead and tell you everybody that we're brought to you by our friends over at Hickey and Hole Law, because we know that divorce and custody cases are far, far, far too important to try to face alone. Especially something as crucial and all of the details and everything that goes into it. You don't want to miss anything. So let Hickey and Hole Law provide you with that persistent and diligent representation to help guide you through the entire process, because they will push the case forward for their clients, advocating for them in the diligent and consistent manner from start to finish. And they know that every case that they take is going to be important. So they strive to give each one of them the utmost time and care that it deserves. So Hickey and Hole have law offices across the state of Arkansas in Fayetteville, Fort Smith, Little Rock, and Mena. You can call them today at 479-434-2414, or you can check out their website at hickeyandhole.com. You can also scan that QR code on your screen as well. It's Hickey and Hole Law. Things are about to get better. Okay, so I did want to bring this up too, guys, because you shared it in our group text, and I think we had somebody actually real quick before we get into that, some breaking news. The NCAA voted not to expand March Madness for the past for 8 teams for 2025, 2026. So
first good decision they've made in a long time.
Yeah. Now, just everybody
good in this world.
It's just this 1 year, so we'll probably have to do this again next season. But at least for one more year, maybe even 2 more years, the Arkansas or the NCAA tournament's going to be just 68 teams. So
right. The field of 68 does not have to rebrand.
Thank goodness. That's the most important thing. Is
Jeff Goodman, you're safe, buddy.
Yeah, because I'm sure he would be really involved with that if that ended up happening. So
I'm so glad. I think they're eventually going to wind up, I believe, settling on 72, because that's the easiest way to do it without expanding the bracket to being way too weird. Like literally, if you go to 76, it becomes crazy. It's like an entire new round. And it gets nuts. I wouldn't be surprised if they wind up going to 72 after next year, but I'm all for keeping it at 68 as long as you possibly can. I'd rather go back to 64 than expand to 72.
I was going to say, I'd go the other direction first.
Yeah. Well, that's never going to happen ever in any case in any team. Like the day that any major sports postseason like scales back their postseason play is the day that where the world's coming to an end, because it's just never going to happen. So, but either way. Okay, so I think it was, let's see, I had the chat, or maybe one of you guys start the chat. Oh, from Chakota, where he says, I was not a fan of Hunter Yurchek's speech, told them their schedule was hard, basically telling them that they're not as good as the teams that they play, LOL. He's referring to this video, and I wanted to give you your thoughts on this from Hogs Plus. This is Hunter Yurchek addressing the team, talking about this schedule.
You guys walk out of that locker room, you go down that hallway, you've seen the schedule on the wall, right? Seen that schedule? Everybody wants to tell me how hard that schedule is. We've always had a hard schedule, but you know what? Razorbacks have never backed down from a hard schedule. And what I know from Coach Pittman about this team is you guys aren't going to back down, because you have 12 incredible opportunities this season to show people what this football team is made of.
I really thought he was going to go the direction of, everyone keeps telling me how hard that schedule is, but I'm looking in here and I see a really good football team that honestly, I think you could. He was like, and they're right. It's hard, bro. It's really hard. He's like, but I know you guys aren't going to back down. I'm not trying to we're nitpicking for sure here. It's not a big deal. He's given a preseason speech to the team. He's got the freaking man in the arena speech.
That cracked me up.
That doesn't move me by any means. And I love the man in the arena speech, but come on, bro. The Hunter Yurchek is addicted to framing Arkansas as the lesser than their opponents, of whether it's financially, whether it's just on the football field or whatever. He never frames Arkansas as the top dog. He always admits hey, people don't think you're good. We're not supposed to be good. And It's not a big deal. I just don't like it. I just wish he would stop doing that publicly, kind of almost admitting that the narrative is that Arkansas is not good, and admitting that like the expectations aren't super high.
The man in the arena is the Barry Odom special, man.
Yeah.
Who do you think you are to
Yeah.
do this? I mean, come on. I think he does that at the beginning of every year for the most part. Like they bring him in, he gives a little rah-rah to the team. So, okay, it is what it is. I was expecting, and I liked when Sam Pittman did this at SEC Media Day. And it's cliche and it's coach speak, and you do the thing where it's like, oh yeah, everybody's talking, schedule's real difficult. We got all these ranked teams, whatever. They got to play Arkansas too now. I like that version of it. Like, all right, that's cool, that's fine and dandy. Like, yeah, we respect to the schedule, but you got to see us too, and you're going to remember that. He could have at least thrown that in there. Maybe he did, and they just clipped out the wrong part. I don't know. I'm not going to actually screw. I'm not going to give that dude the benefit of the doubt. It's whatever.
Yeah. Hey, a lot of these videos are taking out of context, and context matters. So maybe we'll get a follow up to this one.
People who say it's taken out of context are the people who provide the context.
Yes, exactly. But I will say to that point, because I'm with you guys, is like, I think the approach of it is that way. And I know the SEC schedule, you really don't have much of a say on it, but y'all are the ones that decided this whole thing to go and play Memphis on the road and to play Notre Dame, in which I'm not hating on you for playing Notre Dame. I think it's awesome that you get to have a home and home in Notre Dame, just like I think it's awesome that you had a home and home in Michigan, a home and home in BYU. Like, those are cool. I'm fine with that. But, like that game on the road against Memphis, y'all decided that. Like, that's not something that you were forced to do. You decided that. So, and also the SEC schedule itself, take it for what it is. But comparatively speaking, when we've seen On3 or CBS Sports or all of them rank the toughest schedules in the country, a lot of times Arkansas has been number one. Most cases, they're not this year. They're like number 3 in the SEC at the toughest schedule. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's not even like everyone unanimously is looking at Arkansas schedule and be like, oh my gosh, look at this. This is insane. In fact, this is perfect little segue, guys, because I'm sure you guys saw this too. This was according to ESPN. They named 12 most dangerous Power 4 versus non-Power 4 games in the country for teams. Okay. 12 of them. Arkansas has 2 of them listed.
No way. Both of those games?
Yes. They have Arkansas State and Arkansas, and they have Arkansas and Memphis. 2 of those games. So it's like, you can sit there and talk about the schedule, talk about the SEC. Hey, it is what it is. It's tough. But you're the ones that made this schedule in the non-conference slate. And with the coaches poll that's come out today, which we may allude to, you place 6 teams in the top 25. 9 teams that are receiving more votes than you is on your schedule. So again, I just don't have any sympathy for you when it comes to the conference schedule is what it is, but the non-conference, that's all on you, brother.
I also want to go back to the, because I know we're being hard on Hunter Yurachek here, and we are a lot of times, and I kind of almost feel bad about it, but I don't really. He used that word opportunity, and Sam Pittman used that same word at SEC Media Days to describe the schedule. He says, I look at it, it's a hard schedule. I look at it as an opportunity, which, that's the way they view it. But again, it goes along the lines of framing it as we are getting to play teams that are way better than us, and it's cool. It's a chance for us to beat a cool team. That's what they view it as. And look, that's what it is. And so it's, it's hard to knock them for viewing it that way. But again, it's like, at some point, do you not view yourself as that? Like, it's not a great opportunity to play Auburn. You're in the same freaking conference as them. It's not a great opportunity to go on the road and play Tennessee. You beat them last year. Like, it's not a great opportunity to play LSU. Arkansas's beaten LSU a lot over the years. It's like, those are the teams. These are not great opportunities. This is your conference schedule. You're in that conference. Act like a big boy. Treat yourself like a big boy. Curtis, do you think Hamzat Chimaev right now, he's preparing for his title match against Dricus, you think Hamzat Chimaev is like, man, it's such a great opportunity to face a guy as good as Dricus. Can't wait to share the octagon. No, he's like, I'm the guy. I'm about to go kick this guy's ass and make it clear that I'm the guy. And I understand it's a different sport, different everything, but it's like, there is absolutely something too when you constantly tell yourself you are lesser than, you constantly look your players in the face and tell them, you guys are not supposed to win, but maybe we can. And it's like, they really hammer this home a lot. And I get it. That's kind of the reality of the situation, but I'm just tired of being that program.
You know how Hamzat feels about it? Smash.
Smish. That's what Arkansas needs. Arkansas needs to smash this football season.
Oh man, I can't get past that list. I'm okay with it. Actually makes a lot of sense for Arkansas Memphis to be on that list. Memphis coming off of the double-digit win season. Arkansas kind of piddling around. It's a true road game. They're good for their level. I know it's kind of a different team over there this year. That would make sense. The Arkansas State one just pissed me off.
Yeah,
it just made me mad.
And I'll go as far as to say this, and I'm going to be completely totally honest. I'll say it the week leading up to it. If I don't believe it's going to happen, but if Arkansas found a way to screw around and lose that game to Arkansas State, Sam Pittman does not need to be employed the next day, and Hunter Yurachek needs to be right behind him. I am going to be to that level. I'm not kidding. There is, because you decided to play this game, and the one time that you play down there in Little Rock, if you don't show up, if you don't show out in the second week of the season against that team, and that you let that happen, y'all need to go. See ya.
They're going to beat Arkansas State by 4 touchdowns. Though.
Good. I hope
they are. And by the way, they have to, because you're right, John. They have to win that game. And listen, they're not going to lose that game. But I also, again, this ain't no great opportunity. This is an opportunity for you to whip some ass and to make it clear. Arkansas needs to treat that game like it's little brother, and they're giving them a wedgie and giving them a swirly. They need to really take that game personally.
Yes, absolutely. By the way, I like this super chat from Arkansas. Appreciate it. Goes, Nolan Richardson, pray for the Bear. Sam and Hunter, we have an opportunity to beat the Bear.
Literally though. Listen, did you ever have to question if Nolan Richardson felt like his team was the best team in the country? Even when they weren't, he felt they were, and he, talked about them like they were. And we just don't do that with Arkansas football. We're just happy to have a program, and we're happy that fans pay money to watch them go 6-6. Was
it Ben Souders that responded to maybe Danny West's thing about schedule, and he was just like, good, as in yes, that's what I want. We want to have it that way.
Yeah.
That's
why I like Ben Souders, man.
Ben Souders is a stud, man.
Yeah. No, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of it. So hopefully that stays consistent. Hopefully that ends up keep happening there. So, I wanted to bring that up. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and get into our best and worst of the weekend. And we know that there's always some highlights and some lowlights that are going on here in the sports world. And I'm going to go ahead and kick it off, guys, for my best of the weekend. I don't know what's happening here in this particular video, but I just love the hype and excitement. And I think I have an idea of maybe what transpired to make this hype and excitement happen. But still, this is just a wild thing. I have no idea what happened, but I assume that hitting that little marker is a big deal. That never happens. Commentators who are wearing shorts and blazers and backwards hats that look like they just came from row week decided to roll the table out, and there's a little child going up against a grown man. I don't know, but it made me happy because I love excitement and energy in sports, and that there was that. So just made me happy.
That was electric. That reminds me of those darts celebrations that you see in the big championship tournaments or whatever. That was crazy. I don't know what that game was, but that was cool, man.
Yeah. Just made me happy.
Oh, I like that a lot. Well, I just had a best of the weekend added because they decided to keep the NCAA tournament to 68. I'm very, very happy about that. That's tremendous stuff there. I also want to share just a quick little video with you guys from Instagram from incoming Razorback freshman Paolo Semedo. It's just a little workout video. It's nothing crazy, but people don't know that much about this kid just yet. Remember, he was the surprise, and we were at least semi prepared for everyone throughout the course of the offseason. Besides Paolo Semedo, when he popped, it was like, who is this guy? And then the more and more I've dug in, the more and more I've learned about him. I feel like he's someone who's going to be able to help Arkansas early, and he's got a high ceiling. We're talking about a guy who's 7'1", and he plays like a guard. And you can see little clips here and there. But if you watch this guy and you think about his size and how he's handling the ball, he's just doing some little dunks on air or whatever. It's no big deal. But then getting into some jumpers, and there's also a couple things here where, one, he drops off an assist as a 7'1" guy. Two, Kentucky's Brandon Garrison And then he pulls up and hits a mid-range jumper right in his face, which is awesome. So I'm going to pull this up real quick so we can watch it. Paolo Samito, incoming Arkansas freshman. All 7'1" of him. He's skinny now. But look at him. The dude's handling it like a guard.
Looks like Wembanyama already.
Exactly.
Hey, Muss was hanging out with Wembanyama the other day.
All right. Just big dunks. It just makes you excited. You know, we haven't seen him. It's very effortless, but
he could get drafted off this video alone.
He could. Look at hitting a 3. It's no big deal. I'm 7'1". I'm just excited about this kid.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's
there it
good.
is to Brandon Garrison. Nice drop-off pass in the pick and roll. You got to love it. But he's just like
Brandon
facing
Garrison.
guys up and attacking. Yeah. Went on
What
Brandon
a great
Garrison.
opportunity for Brandon Garrison to get to play with Paulo Tomato.
Exactly. This is big for him. He's going to hit this jumper in his face right here. Eat it. Okay. Yeah, more of that to come, buddy.
And he looks great.
He does look good, doesn't he? I mean, good grief.
Wow.
I mean, he's 7'1" guy who is handling the rock like that. He's pick and roll finisher, pick and roll handler, shooting jumpers, flying in transition. People did the whole what they're calling him, African Wemby. Oh, we don't have to get carried away. But I've also heard people say, well, I hope he's not the next Bay Fall or the next Connor Vanover. Kid's skilled, man. He's going to have to refine his game a little bit, get comfortable in a college system. He's going to help Arkansas. I really think this is a very, very underrated pickup. And he's a guy that nobody really knew that much about because he was only in the United States for a couple months during his senior season of high school. And all of a sudden he gets, kind of classified into 2025. And you see him at some of these recruiting sites. 24/7 hasn't updated for him yet, but the other places have him as a top 50 prospect, already like 20, 30 spots ahead of Isaiah Sealy. And he just got here. So the dude's going to be able to help him. Anyway, shout out to Palestine.
I love that as Hog fans, we can never not have players that we associate them with past players. That's just the only way we can process things. We look at a guy, there's really no one you can point to with Paulo Sameda and be like, yeah, he's going to be like that guy. It's like, it's kind of his own unique build, skill set, everything. Guys, I've got to just nerd out for about 3 to 4 minutes here. So can we all agree? I don't know how much you guys were keeping up on over the weekend. John, I know you were fighting wars over there. Curtis, I know you had your eye a little bit. Can we all agree that World Wrestling Entertainment's back? The WWE is back in full force. Can we agree? It's back.
We can agree. It was fun.
So one, Brock Lesnar comes back, which is a big deal. I mean, he's going to fight John Cena. It's going to be an awesome thing. That's not even my best of the weekend. Although SummerSlam is their first ever 2-day SummerSlam. It was a great event, but the best thing that happened was on night 1 of SummerSlam. Y'all are familiar with the concept of cashing in Money in the Bank, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have your Money in the Bank in the WWE, and you can get a title fight whenever you want. And it's always a cool, creative storytelling thing they do. And again, guys, this is all scripted, it's all fake, but it's freaking electric. So I want to set the stage just a little bit. So nobody has had a better 2025 in wrestling than Seth Rollins. He's been a big name for a while. He beat Roman Reigns and CM Punk at WrestleMania. He's got Paul Heyman in his corner. He's kind of the top heel in the business right now, even with a lot of big names coming to the table a little bit. Him and CM Punk have hated each other like their entire lives. And he even flew to Saudi Arabia to ruin CM Punk's title fight with John Cena just a couple months ago. Well, Seth Rollins suffered what appeared to be a real serious knee injury, so much so that they were doing an event about a month ago, and he had to leave the event. He loses his match, and he has not appeared on WWE programming since then. And everyone seriously in the business was like, hey, this guy tore something in his knee. He's going to be out for a while. He has not appeared in a while. Well, CM Punk wins the World Heavyweight Championship on Saturday, which, should have been a great moment for CM Punk. And then this freaking happened. Then a good old-fashioned heel. And there's nothing cooler than professional wrestling.
Well, I was just going to say, the guy that you brought up, the briefcase, the manager, who was he? What the name?
Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman.
Yeah. Just put that as Jimmy Sexton's face, and that's pretty much what he is.
That could have been Pittman. They could have done something like that with Pittman's hip surgery.
Yeah. Yeah. No, listen, I'm always a fan of the hype and everything that goes along with that, and the World Wrestling. What is it? What does the E stand for? I don't even know anymore.
Entertainment. It used to be Federation. Now we're World Wrestling Entertainment.
Yeah, back when this country was great. But I'll tell you what, I do want to throw in this one. This is actually a really great thing as part of best of the weekend. But you guys remember Derek Garduno, our avid listener and watcher who has been going through a battle with cancer. And he emailed me this morning, and because he usually emails me any updates that he had, and he emailed me and said, wanted to give an update on his health. He said cancer has spread to his brain. He says it's a small lesion, less than a centimeter on the front right temporal lobe, but the doctor wants to zap it once, because once is all he agreed to do, and seems to think that that'll do the trick. Immunotherapy will not help this. Went under one treatment, and we'll see what happens. He says, I'll go for another MRI in 2 months. Not keen on having any part of my brain shot with radiation, but if once will work, fine. Last set of scans showed no new areas of cancer other than my brain. I'm officially retired, and I'm still tuned into Inside Arkansas. Keep up the great work. Damn. And today is his birthday. And he said that, so I told him, of course, we're rooting for him and everything. And he said, I'm doing pretty well right now. He's like, one of the best birthday presents for me, one day at a time. And he is 52 years old, by the way. And he sent this to me because I wanted to play this, because this just kind of shows him after dealing with his final treatments of cancer. And this was just a cool little thing I wanted to play.
Ready?
Yes.
All right.
Wow.
Couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah. Couldn't have done it without you.
That's right. Hopefully I won't have to come back.
Oh, hi. You are awesome.
So anyways, I just wanted to I love that, for one, and we appreciate him listening in and tuning in. But it's one of those things that keeps everything in perspective for you, and I'm glad he's able to update it. I'm glad that he is able to go through his last treatment. Hopefully it's the last treatment. You even heard him say, he's like, I hope I never have to come back here again, which I'm sure is true. But it was just awesome to see that he is doing better. Hopefully this final round ends up killing it for good, and he can just move on with the rest of his life. But I wanted to give him a shout out and say how awesome it is that he's battled through it all, and seems like he's going to be on the right side of it here soon.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's inspirational. I know it had to feel incredibly good to be able to ring that bell. So congratulations on that, and keep fighting the good fight, my man.
Listen, there's a reason we celebrate birthdays, because being alive, it's a gift, man. It's something that you gotta work for. It's something you can't take for granted, and that's awesome. Happy that he gets to celebrate his birthday, and hopefully, this journey can come to an end soon, and he's not doesn't have to go back or anything. But that's awesome, man. We appreciate him, and that makes you feel good.
Yeah, I can't. I know it was such a good moment that I didn't even want to ruin it by playing the Paul Petrino, your best performance to date, ring the bell. Like I wanted to do it. But I'm like, yeah, I can't go down that route just yet. But either way, shout out to him. All right, so I'll get on back to a lighter note of the worst of the weekend. I have two quick ones. One, this one is this is a common thing. And I know I'm petty white. I'm very petty when it comes to the smallest of things that bother me and that piss me off. But this is something that I will never understand. I don't understand how it keeps happening. It happens to every single outlet, every single platform, every single thing. It's the most basic knowledge ever. But we know about the murders that were happening in Devil's Den and how awful it is. It's been awful. But right there, Springdale, AK.
Goodness gracious.
It's from the New York Post. Now, again, I'm not trying to make light of a serious situation, because it is serious. I don't understand how this keeps happening. Listen, I know you two were Big J journalists for a long time. I've never been that. I know that we all make mistakes in writing, but this is something that is just a commonality I don't get. I will never understand it. I don't know if it's because people in general think, well, since Arizona is better than Arkansas, they need to be AR and not Arkansas. Because AK is Alaska. That's what that is. It's somebody else. So either way, it's just something that constantly pisses me off, and I do not understand why it keeps happening.
Yeah, that really gets under my skin too. Whether it's sports or national news or what, it's just get it right.
Yeah,
like you're trained professionals, in your field. The least you could do is get a state abbreviation right at some point. Maybe at some point it just gets absolutely ridiculous, and it only happens to Arkansas, man.
Yep.
Crazy. And here's my thing is, if you don't have the entire thing memorized, you don't have all 50 states, when you have a discrepancy like this, like if you think about Arkansas and Alaska and you see AK, you think about Alaska, what could the abbreviation possibly be? AL or AK? Like those are the only options, and it's not going to be AL because of Alabama, obviously. Arizona, AZ is like perfect for it. Everyone sees AZ and they're like, that's Arizona. Arkansas, it's just AR. Like there's nothing else you could really do. Like it doesn't really make sense. So it's like just literally think about just use process of elimination and think about the other ones. What else could they be? That's what they are.
Yep.
It just makes sense. That's annoying.
Well, and also too, as I don't know if you guys know the comedian Mitch Hedberg passed away, but one of the things that he always said, he's like, "How do you abbreviate Arkansas?" He's like, "Here's what you do: you start trying to spell the word Arkansas, and then you stop after 2 letters. Like that's what you do. You just stop, and then there it is." And also, real quick, my other worst of the weekend. Apparently, the Little League World Series is in full swing. I still don't understand why it's a big deal. I don't understand if anybody watches it. Sorry, it's kind of strange to me if you do. To each their own. But seeing just always every year there's some stupid drama coming out from it, whether it's apparently there was sign stealing going on in the Southwest Regional between Oklahoma and Texas West. So they're doing an investigation on sign stealing in Little League. And then also there was a game that ended because a kid slid head first into second base when trying to steal. And you're not allowed to do that. You can always slide in feet first. And therefore he was called out. And it's just like, that's the only time I ever hear or even know anything about the Little League World Series is when something like this happens, but it never stops. I think I'll go back to, forgot which year it was. Maybe you guys remember when they had that one kid that was pitching for some sort of team, but he was actually like 17 years old, but he was supposed to be only 12. Like just always nonsense that comes from it. And so I don't care about the Little League World Series. That's great if you do, but I just feel like it's more about stupid stuff and drama coming out from it than anything.
Yeah, that's I saw that. Did they wind up letting the Venezuelan team in or no? Did you guys see that? Like because of the whatever political stuff, they couldn't get their visas or that like they weren't allowed to come over to compete. I don't know if anything happened from that. I just remember reading that story and hearing about it. And I was like, oh, I guess the Little League World Series is it's about that time of year. And then the next thing I heard about it, John, was exactly what you were talking about right there, the sign stealing and stuff. And I'm like, okay,
it's just
what are we
dumb.
doing?
It's so dumb.
Yeah, that's crazy. If you or one of your loved ones have thrown a green wiener on the floor at a WNBA game, please stop. Please stop doing that. Like it happened once. Okay, haha. It's a pretty poor look. Now it happened again. Can this please not become a trend?
No.
Stop doing that. It's in poor taste. It's uncomfortable. There's a lot of undertones that just shouldn't, just don't do that. My question is, and I know there's like metal detectors or whatever, but how do people get these things in to games? How do they do that? How do they get they have like some hockey games, they throw fish. Like I think in Nashville, they throw catfish on the ice. Somewhere they have like, they like octopus, squids or whatever that they throw out there. How do you get this stuff in to these games? I don't understand. Stop throwing green wieners on the floor at WNBA games. It's my worst of the weekend. Be respectful. Happened once, haha, giggle. And now I feel like it's going to happen every single day. Stop doing it. You can bet now on the color of the next one. If it's not green, literally can do that. It's ridiculous. Just stop doing it.
So that's the only case I can make against it is that if you can get a sports book that really is taking odds on that, I mean, personally, I would go to my local WNBA game, empty the clip on a certain color and let it rip. Is that foolproof or no?
I don't know. I don't know how all that would work. And I don't know what to
imagine going to prison for fraud because of it. It's like, no, I got busted in a huge gambling scheme for throwing an adult toy onto the floor at my local WNBA game.
Well, I'm with you too, Curtis, real quick. Just it's not the same thing, but similar. Same thing with like throwing stuff on the field when the refs have a call that you don't like. Yeah. And that became a thing. Like, stop.
All it does is ruin the event.
Right now. Yeah, it has to stop right now. Right now. It has to stop.
No more tortillas, Texas Tech. You hear that?
Yeah.
Guys, I gotta be honest. I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, I really don't have anything. Nothing crazy is going on. But then I remembered Friday night, I officially reached my breaking point with college football 26. I gave it a good whirl, man. I gave it a good whirl. I had some fun. it just isn't. It's the exact same game with the exact same pros and cons. And I got so angry the other day. I was trying to get a last minute drive. I was down 29-27 to the Ole Miss Rebels. And I was actually playing with the Arkansas Razorbacks because I took the head coaching job there. And I had 4 seconds left on the clock and no timeouts. And I tried to hurry up and snap the ball. I didn't know how to spike. I didn't know the number, the thing for spike. And I was trying to no huddle. And I clicked to throw the ball away. And my quarterback throws the ball in the air. And it was in the air for 4 seconds. Clock runs out on 0. Ball game ends with me on the 20-yard line. Just brutal. Just brutal. That literally is the last play. I am not playing that game anymore. I'm done with it. But I just want my worst of the weekend is just I've reached my – it's sad that the season hasn't even started yet, and I'm already over the college football game. That tells me that EA Sports has not done their job. So that's my worst of the weekend.
Well, I put it down a long time ago anyways, not just because I don't really have much time for it, but I was with you. I'm like, this is just the same game. Now, we're still going to do our simulations. That's all going to still happen. But just made me think of it. Do you guys remember last year with the A&M simulation?
Yes.
Where it's like the game they had I think it was like 20 seconds or something like that for A&M to line up and kick a field goal to win it. And it just goes to the play screen and it's just like, all right, are they going to, like, I don't know, hurry up and do this? And then it just didn't happen. The game just had them make like a regular play, and then they ended up not getting it off in time. That was pretty great.
They pulled a Nico Iamaleava. That's pretty much what I did.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. Exact same thing. So, all right, we'll get to your final chats, but also got to, of course, get into our summer topics of conversation here on Inside Arkansas Live, presented by our friends at Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas. Next Wednesday, a week from this Wednesday, we are going to be live down there at Lake Hamilton at their location. Really looking forward to that. And we'll give you all the details of that as the week goes on. But just want to remind everybody that if you're looking to get out on the water, but you may not have a boat, well, that's okay, because Freedom Boat Club gives you the access to the boat without the commitment. So that way you don't have to worry about cleaning it, the maintenance of it, the getting the slip, or having to hitch it to the back of your vehicle and drive it down there. None of those things. They have you taken care of. They have 3 locations in Arkansas. So lake time is so much closer than you think. So whether you prefer Greers Ferry Lake here in Arkansas or Lake Hamilton down there in Hot Springs, or even a day on the river in Little Rock, Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas will help make your summer in the natural state the best one yet. They also have a new location coming soon, which we're excited to tell you about here very soon. But you can check out their website at freedomboatclubar.com. That's freedomboatclubar.com today to learn more about the benefits of joining the club with Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas. Okay, so we'll get to your summer topics, and then we'll get to your chats. Sports side, this is people are starting to catch on to it. I hope people actually did, but I simply asked, what is the greatest catch in Razorback sports history? And the reason I said sports is because I don't know if you guys knew this. Catches can happen in a lot of different sports. So what would you say in just first catch of any sport that comes to your mind, the greatest catch that you've seen for Razorback sports?
Man, I tell you one that was great. I was just given everything that happened with our man Traylon Burks. Was watching some of his highlights. You guys remember that one-handed grab corner of the end zone against Ole Miss that Felipe Franks, very underrated, by the way, in his own right. That was one hell of a catch, man. And honestly, nearly any reception that Traylon Burks had against Ole Miss, it's crazy, because it was either the next year or the year after when he had the back-to-back plays where KJ was just like, screw it, I'm just going to throw it up to you, buddy. And he went and got him. They covered like 65 yards in 2 straight plays because of the plays he was making there. I remember a Ben Hicks throw his freshman year against, I think it was Auburn, was like way off target, and he had to go grab that one. But the number one for me, and I could probably think back further to some other guys, but that one-handed grab in the corner of the end zone from Traylon Burks was sick, man.
That was on my extremely short list. I don't have a long list. And since Curtis took one of those, I'm going to take one that I'm sure John was going to mention. I'm going to hold it to 1, though. I'm going Miracle on Markham 1 to Corey Birmingham. I think, obviously, we talk about this play a lot. It's a play that's lived on. I mean, it has a name. It's an awesome thing. We remember a lot about it. We remember Matt Jones being like 4 for 16 before that drive, and then he just starts dotting. I think that the thing that people don't remember is the difficulty of the catch. I mean, it was like in the corner of the end zone. There was very little margin for error. I thought it was a great job by Corey Birmingham. And so I think when you take into account the difficulty of the catch, the footwork, the stakes of the game and the fact that it's lived forever. I think the Decory Birmingham reception in the corner of the end zone in 2002, and it won Arkansas the SEC West. I think that's the greatest catch in sports history. I don't think I have a great baseball one, if I'm being honest with you. There's obviously been some great highlights. I can't think of one that like had like, in Omaha, you robbed a home run or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I'll say to the baseball thing, because I think you can make it to whatever you want it to be. But say, for instance, like Peyton Holt's deke play, like I consider that it was a catch.
That was a good catch.
More about what he did, but to like have the audacity to do it in that moment and to still make the catch and to execute it was pretty electric. But a few of them, though, that I have for football side of things, hopefully you guys remember, but Arkansas, Tennessee 2011, Jarius Wright. Do you remember where the Tennessee defender pass interference like crazy, didn't get called, and Jarius was like going behind him and he like hits it and he keeps tapping it up and it like hits into his head, hits into his hands, and then he finally catches it on the ground. Like the balancing act that you had to do, that was one of the catches that stood out to me. That one, I think Greg Childs against Georgia in 2009, where Mallett threw it up and he had to like dive into the end zone and hold on to it like crazy, like considering the amount of contact that he took was wild. I think that somebody on Twitter said the Michael Qualls putback dunk. I was like, yeah, it's a pretty great catch.
Sure, yeah.
So you could throw that one as far as the basketball side of things. But yeah, those were a few that just kind of stood out to me as far as the major sports go, at least.
That Jarius Wright one, that's just brutal luck.
Yeah.
That you make the coolest play of your career, and Jarius Wright had an awesome career, awesome year. The coolest catch you make happens on the same day that the literal best punt return of all time happens. That's a brutal beat.
Yep, that is tough.
People forget how great of a catch this was. Blake Kern, the one-hander from Reed Bauer. That was that was a dandy, man.
Yep. What was it? Who's the commentator? Oh, what's his name? I just blanked on it. For CBS college football, the color commentator.
Danielson. No, not Danielson.
Yeah, Gary Danielson.
Yeah.
I just remember he just goes, "What a play! What a catch!" It was a great one too. But yeah, Blake Kern was a good one for sure. That was a good one. Okay. See, I was seeing if there's any other in the chat or on the Twitter side of things too, because some people had some pretty good ones as far as that went. Somebody said, of course, Miracle on Markham was definitely one of them. Miracle on Markham was one of them. Yeah, I'm not even going to read that one because that one's not even an Arkansas thing. So we'll just move on from that one and get to other questions. So as far as the food side of things goes, guys, which fast food restaurant has the best menu of all time? And when I say menu, I guess I could clarify just one that has a great variety where all of them are good, where it's one of those places you go and you get different things because of just the assortment that they have and the type of food that is offered. So just the greatest menu in fast food history.
I'm open to other suggestions here. I'm going to have a hard time going anywhere other than Taco Bell.
It's a good one. It's hard to go.
I mean, yeah. So I know Andrew's been licking his chops waiting for this one. Taco Bell is my answer, but I'm very interested.
That was mean. It felt like you called me a fat ass. It felt like you were looking at me and you're like, this fat loser.
Listen, bro, you have all the apps,
I do have all the apps, and I was about to pull some of those apps up. So I've got a gold medalist, bronze, or gold, silver, bronze. Taco Bell is my silver. So
okay, all
nice.
right.
My gold medal though, and you guys are not going to be stunned to hear this. It's Sonic, dude. And I see a few people in the chat who know ball. Now, again, John, you laid out the clarification here. Obviously, if someone wants to argue and say, well, I think this, I like the food better at this place, so I'll go there, that's fine. But in terms of the variety of just everything you can get, fries, tots, you can get burgers, you can get chicken, you can get random, they have like jalapeno poppers, they've got the
corn dogs,
Frito pies.
Dogs. I mean, tremendous. They've had fish sandwiches on there before. They have the most ridiculous options on the menu. I remember one time me and my buddy, we were talking, we were like, dude, we should open a restaurant that is just ballpark food. And then they were like, dude, that's just Sonic. Like it's pretty much Sonic. It's ballpark food plus some other real stuff. I think Sonic is the most diverse menu in the fast food game. My bronze medalist, though, is Wendy's, because I feel like Wendy's has a pretty, they got chili, they've got chicken, they've got burgers, they've got fries, they've experimented with some stuff too. But I feel like Taco Bell, you mentioned it, Curtis, like the value menu of Taco Bell. Like, it's very easy to go to Taco Bell and just get one small item. Some of these places are harder, like some places have better value menus, but Taco Bell, you and 6 buddies can go there, all get different menu items and all be satisfied.
Yeah. Well, and I'll honestly add, Taco Bell would have been my number one. The only thing about it is what makes me mad about Taco Bell is they'll just take menu items off that everyone loves.
They do that.
And that's really annoying. So, but that's why it's maybe a close second to me. But to me, I don't know if anybody's ever experienced maybe as much as I have, but like Whataburger, where it comes to, they have like the burgers themselves are great, but I also love their barbecue Swiss chicken sandwiches that are great. They got the fries that are really good. Their breakfast items are really good. So it's like, I just feel like that's probably the place I go to where, not that I say I go all the time.
Rolls
if I go,
at Whataburger.
Yes.
Don't sleep on them cinnamon rolls, bro.
Yeah.
Decent.
Yeah. I mean, they got some good stuff there, and it's usually pretty consistent. So I may have to throw Whataburger in there. But again, yeah, Taco Bell is hard to go against when they actually keep the items on there.
Yeah, Whataburger's a good pick. Whataburger was something I didn't experience until I moved to Fayetteville, and that was heavy in the rotation for a while. I'll submit a Cinderella story. If you know, but Jack in the Box, man, especially late at night. And I don't know if they still do it or not, but there used to be one right across the road from my house in St. Louis. I was there all the time, but they would do the late night munchie meal, and they had a bunch of different options, but you get some sort of burger. What I would get, they called it the grilled cheese stack, which they just put a hamburger in between a grilled cheese. And then it comes with 2 Jack in the Box tacos and curly fries and a drink. It's hard to beat after a night out. I'm just saying.
Curtis, I think Michelle, I think this is like the worst conversation a pregnant woman could hear right now. Is the list of fast food options. I like all. I feel like we covered this well. I'll just, before we move on, honorable mention to Culver's. I love Culver's. I've shouted them out before.
Very good.
Great menu.
Well, and then finally, this one was one I just thought about over the weekend because I was watching a movie, and I'll give mine. But as far as the entertainment side of things go, who's the biggest jerk character in all of film? And this is accepting of movies or shows, but like just a jerk that either makes you laugh or you just like, or he's just played really well or she's played really well, but just who's the biggest jerk character in all of cinema?
I've had a hard time moving past the first comment when you posted it earlier today from Hayden, where he was talking about Grandpa Joe. Willy Wonka. It's so true, bro.
Such an asshole.
It's so true. I've been offended by that, and I still am every single time I see the dude. I don't even have to be watching the movie. If I see a meme with him on it, I get irritated. So he's way, way up there on the list for sure. I've been thinking about Disney and, some stuff for the kiddos as we get a little bit closer to bringing a baby into the world. I'm going to have to talk to our son about Sid from Toy Story. Big jerk energy, bro. Scar from Lion King. Just smug as it comes. So those would kind of be my top 3, I think. But Grandpa Joe, I mean, it's hard to get past that one, man.
You know who I almost had as an honorable mention? You talking about Disney. Gaston. Gaston's a jerk.
Yeah.
That guy's a jerk, man. John, I want you to go first because I've got 4 nominees here, and I don't want to steal it. I don't think I'm going to steal yours because these are kind of weird, but not crazy weird. But I want to hear your list first.
Okay, well, I got like 3 of them. But the one that made me think of this is Marky Mark's character from The Departed, Mark Wahlberg.
Great.
That dude is such a jerk. And just the things like maybe not, maybe go F yourself. It's just like, okay, like just no matter what, huge jerk. And I remember watching that thinking that that's just how Mark Wahlberg is in real life. I'm like, that's just who he is. I just assume that's how he is. But he's definitely in that mix. I think that O'Bannon from Dazed and Confused, there's Ben Affleck's character with the paddle, because he just kept getting references at his hate that jerk. I'm also going to say Doyle from Sling Blade, who was just hilarious as a jerk. He was definitely in there. And then an honorable mention for me would have to be Ramsay Bolton from Game of Thrones, which if you haven't seen Game of Thrones, you may not know, but definitely one of the biggest jerks. So that's my list, Ellis.
Damn, Ramsay Bolton is a jerk, man.
Yep.
What's crazy is Joffrey. I can't wait for Curtis to watch Game of Thrones so we can have this conversation again. But, Joffrey is like the worst character, he sucks. And then like when you're watching it and you're like, oh, there's going to be someone that's way worse than this kid, like way worse. That's tough. So I got 4, and listen, I don't know how great this list is. I made it this morning. My one that came to mind, and this is a weird one, the mayor of Whoville in The Grinch. That guy was such a jerk. The guy who was so mean, and then he married Martha May Whovier, and when they were kids with The Grinch, he was like, "You're 8 years old and you have a beard." That guy's a jerk. He's really a top tier jerk. Funny character though, a little fat guy with the weird hair. William Zabka, the Karate Kid, obviously got a spinoff show with Cobra Kai where he became less of a jerk and got some redemption. But William Zabka, all-time great movie jerk. Although one could argue William Zabka's the good guy in that story. Any ladies out there? Regina George, Mean Girls. Ring a bell? I honestly think she's an iconic movie jerk. But the one that for some reason this just hits home to me. How much do y'all like the movie Like Mike?
It's
Calvin Cambridge. The kid, I don't even know the kid's name, but the actor is Jesse Plemons. He's gone on to be super successful, and he's a great actor. Jesse Plemons' character in Like Mike, when I watched that movie so much as a kid, when I think of like mean guy in a movie, like the bully, I think of him. He was always bullying Calvin Cambridge, and at the orphanage, he was always turning all the rest of the orphan kids against him. And he was such a hater when Calvin made it to the NBA, but he did get redeemed in the end.
Well, yeah, he also was like in Breaking Bad. He was a character in there that was very hateable. So yeah.
Jesse Plemons is a jerk, and not the person. He always plays a jerk, though.
Right? Yeah, there's some actors that are that way too. So yeah, we covered all the jerks that are in there. There are plenty of them to go around, for sure. Okay, so before we get out of here, let's get to a few of your chats. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Finch just says, Andrew, here's some info for you since you're at the beach. 2, if you get stung by a jellyfish and don't have vinegar, mustard will draw out the sting too, along with shaving the area. So keep that in mind.
Sounds good. I honestly don't think I'm going to the beach. I just don't think that's going to make it into my my schedule. I don't really like the beach that much, but I do like being near it. You know, like I like that I can hear ocean waves going back there.
Yeah. Also, Heartbroken Hawk said, Pod at the Palace Saturday morning was an all-timer. There you go. Whoever's to go from their facial expressions after the LSU loss to the energy after beating St. John's.
Yeah, that was it was kind of wild how some of that went, man. In the moment, we were down bad after some of those, like real bad.
Yep, I mean, the roller coaster of emotions that the season held. Because Finch also says was even more awesome watching John hit the gritty again, along with Andrew and Curtis just immediately laughing after beating Kentucky.
That was as good as it got.
An all-timer.
Right there.
Yeah.
That was really good. I enjoyed that a lot. One of my favorites was and we didn't even really care that much, but just the kind of the silence, and then all three of us just had like 2 words to say when Ole Miss hit that buzzer beater at the SEC tournament. And we're just like, wow, bro.
Yeah.
It was just brutal, man. Crazy times.
Kept you on the edge of your seat every single game. Never lacked in entertainment. Because that was something I was talking to the KSR guys at SEC Football Media Days when they were bringing up like, a Cal first season and experience. I'm like, it was interesting because I never knew what to expect. No clue. Going into a game, it's like, oh, they should beat this team. Doesn't matter. Or going into this game, oh, man, I don't think they're going to win. Doesn't matter. Just it was a roll of the dice, and it kept you on the edge of the seat until the very end.
Yep.
Let's see. Also, K Hump says a wide receiver number 14 stands out to me watching practice clips. Andy Jean. Y'all know anything about him?
He's allegedly fast
and doesn't have much by way of career track record. So we'll see. But that is one thing that I don't know how long you've been listening, K Hump, but that's one thing Ronnie Fouch said was, they went out and added these guys after spring football, and everybody's like, well, why are they doing this? Because they got so many transfers in the winter, in the offseason at receiver, but they really wanted to get some more speed. And so they went out and got him and got Jaylen Brown, and that's why that happened. Now, we'll see what comes of him. Where did he was at Pitt last year. Where was he before that? Was he not in the SEC?
Florida State, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, Florida. He was at Florida for 2 years.
Florida.
Yeah. He didn't do much for him. He had like 6 receptions in 2 years there at Florida. And then he spent the spring at Pitt going through practices, and then he dipped. That's what it was. So
that's right. That's right. Is it fair to say that Andy Jean is the guy that they got because you touched on this, he's the Courtney Crutchfield enforcement, like the insurance policy for Courtney Crutchfield? Because they brought in Courtney Crutchfield thinking he would be a big contributor, realized after spring, hey, maybe he's not going to be. Now we need someone to fill that. Feels like Andy Jean is kind of that guy, the de facto backup there.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Also, it shows you because I was sitting there, I was thinking, that's still Bryce Stevenson? He's not on the team anymore. Or not Bryce Stevenson. What was his
Bryce
name?
Stevens, yeah.
Stevens, yeah. Also, I don't know, maybe one of you guys highlighted this one, but Weston Play says, got a few college looks as a wide receiver. If I don't get an offer from Arkansas, my dream school, should I walk on or take an offer from SAU or Arkansas Tech University? Well, I don't know if you want to don't use my opinion or our opinions on this matter, but
go to Arkansas Tech, dude.
Yeah.
There was they just had a basketball player that was at Arkansas Tech, balled out, transferred up for a year, and now he's an Indiana Pacer. So the pathway is there for you.
Listen, I don't know how much you really want our advice or how much you're going to take it, but I think you got to go play ball, man. And I think also if you can get free school or any of your school paid for by any collegiate athletic department, I'd have a hard time not taking that. I mean, I'm 27. I just paid off my student loan. So if somebody could get your school free, man, do that. And listen, like you said, a lot of guys transfer up. And so it's not like you're stuck there. You can do whatever you want to do, man, but go play ball, man.
Yeah. Just don't go to SAU. Don't go there.
Where is that?
Magnolia. Yeah. Don't go there. Shargansall says, happy to be here. He's been a member for 3 months. Good to have you there. Yeah. Appreciate it, man. And finally, Brady G just wants to know, where did Harrison play baseball? Was it AAA? For the
for the Angels, didn't he?
He played in the Major League Baseball, real deal. Played for the Angels. I looked it up earlier. He played 50 games in the big leagues.
He bounced around a little bit, right?
Yeah, he was with the A's a little bit, and then I think he got signed by the Brewers and then never ended up playing in their big leagues. But yeah, he bounced around for a while. Was
Marlins
hanging around in the big leagues.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I think I thought it was the Royals because of the fact he's from Kansas City. I think maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, he's from Lee Summit.
Yeah, that's right. So, all right. Well, fellas, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day?
No, I don't. I think my little heart's content.
I think my heart's content. Y'all want to see my backdrop before I go?
Yeah,
sure.
Let's see what it looks like. Hold on.
Sure, the lighting's going to be great. I'm going to laugh at just a wall. Oh yeah, you got to.
We can sort of.
Oh yeah, there you go.
There's a big building in the way, but trust me, that's Miami. That's Miami right there.
It's incredible, man.
Woo damn pig.
Yeah, can't beat those views. That's for sure. Oh man, well, appreciate each and every one of you listening and watching in Inside Arkansas Live. Be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas on our YouTube page. You can also check us out on all of our social media at Inside Arkansas, as well as follow all of our audio podcasts wherever podcasts are found, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pot at the Palace, or the Bombastic Podcast, and we'll keep it going from there. So for Andrew Ellis, as well as Curtis Wilkerson, I am John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you then.